Tonight on Dice to Pixels, we're talking about the fact that it's been a year since the OGL tragedy and D&D is dead. Stick with us.
So rest in peace, D&D. It's been nice. Had a rough year.
Everybody on Twitter was right.
Yep.
You know, it's a sad day. D&D is no more.
Yep.
Died January of last year. And
yeah, January. Well, our episode came out January 6th
yeah.
or 5th last year.
Yeah, was it the end of December or beginning of January?
No, it was the beginning of January. I think it was just after the new year that it got leaked. And,
and then since then, nobody has played D&D.
Downhill.
Yeah, movie got canceled. Baldur's Gate 3, complete flop.
Yeah, everyone hates it.
In case you hadn't noticed, we're being sarcastic. A whole bunch of idiots said that...
we were right, imagine that!
Yeah, a whole bunch of idiots last year were saying that D&D was dead and nobody was going to play it and everybody was going to go over to different systems. And
clearly has happened.
8,000 alternatives to the OGL were going to be created. And in fairness, actually, a couple of them have been created, and we are going to talk about them.
But not nearly,
We're not just being assholes tonight. We are actually going to talk about it a little bit. But, headline... D&D was a growth sector for Hasbro this year. It was a flash in the pan that lasted about a week and a half, and a whole bunch of idiots
because you were saying that you even looked at Google
Google Trends. Yeah. So I'll drop links for stuff that we're talking about in down in the description, and for some of it, the Google Trends I'll probably put up on the screen as we're going through it, but which we can talk about right now. Basically, if you just go to Google Trends and look for OGL. January, middle of January, very early February last year, massive spike, and then nothing. It lasts for like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then it's just back to baseline for the entirety of the year.
Yeah.
Nobody cared about it after 2 weeks.
I feel like there has been more actual play podcasts and Twitch streams that have come out in the last year than
I think so.
Even the years before that.
I think so. Yeah.
It's just it's skyrocketed.
Yeah. D&D is not suffering.
Yeah.
So we'll go through a handful of things. I'm just going to go through them in the order I tossed
makes
them in
sense.
Here. So Kobold Press, said that they were going to create the Project Black Flag, which was their answer to the OGL. And they did. So the thing that I have in the document here for your benefit, Sarah, is the first draft, the first public draft.
Okay. Came out October 16th of 2023.
Yes. I didn't even follow up to see if there was a more recent one because frankly it doesn't really matter for our purposes here. They did follow through and create at least a reference document.
No, it looks like it's the only thing with that tag.
Yeah, I don't think they've released a final version, but they did at least create a thing.
Yep, and they're working on it.
And it looks decent. I mean, I wouldn't use it yet because even they're not saying it's finished, but it is an OGL competitor license, basically.
Yep.
And that's from Kobold Press, and that's great. And I assume that they're going to be releasing their own stuff under it and everything else, and good for them. They're a big company that does this stuff.
Yep.
That's right in line with what we had said when the whole thing broke, was like, there's going to be companies that this affects that are going to do their own thing. And shocking.
Yeah, which makes sense for them long term.
Yeah.
Really.
But with that said, the blog post about this had a whopping 5 comments. And I saw little to no references to it, on Reddit or otherwise. Not none, mind you, but little to no.
My favorite is the second comment here, and it says, "Why not simply use the orc?"
Right, which I actually was going to call that out as well, because that is such a golden comment that it's like, okay, so we just had this big problem where another company screwed with their license and made us angry. Well, why wouldn't you just use one of your competitors' licenses? Yeah. You idiots. But I mean, as we know now, Wizard backtracked as I think anyone with a level head assumed that they would. And at this point, there's no good reason to use any of these because the OGL that was ultimately offered is perfectly reasonable.
No, yeah, there's nothing that is taking advantage of small creators in any way.
No,
There never was in any of the documents.
And I'm 99% sure when last I looked and investigated it, they released a permanent one that can't be that you can use forever. That the version that they released you can use forever. It's open. Is it Creative Commons or what? The one that they ultimately released, anyways, it's perpetual. Like they can't take it back. So at this point, most of these are kind of irrelevant because there has been one that's been released that you can just use, and Wizards can't screw you over.
Yeah, I think it's Creative Commons because there's
I
other
feel
things.
like it
There's
is,
comments in here that use ORC and or CC. So
I think so. But anyway, so to some extent, most of these aren't really very useful anymore.
No.
But they're still following through with it. So that's fine.
And if you're wondering what ORC is,
that's Paizo's version.
Yes.
Which
is Pathfinder for people that don't know.
Good call. Pathfinder, Starfinder. And we had talked about them doing their own license when the whole OGL thing was happening. And it's like, well, of course they're going to.
Yeah. And the speed with which it came out, you can only assume that they were already working on something.
They would be silly to not have been working on something because I said during dinner and I think I even said at the time, you can only use somebody else's IP for so long and somebody else's license for so long if that's your main breadwinning as a company before it becomes insanely stupid to keep doing it. Yeah. So like of course Paizo came out with their own license. Like duh. We knew at the time that was gonna happen. So those are the two big ones. I actually found very little else like there was a whole bunch of people that said they were coming out with their own license and everything else. And in fairness, I think most of those got waylaid by the fact that Wizards solved the problem. Yeah. Like there was just no reason to do that anymore.
And then probably when they actually sat down to actually do it, they were such a small company to begin with, they probably didn't realize the difficulty that lies with that. Like, it's not shade on them. It is a hard thing to do.
Yeah, the $800,000 in lawyer fees to get a bulletproof license set up. And So anyways, neither of those are shocking, but that's the state of things from what I could find is basically Paizo and Kobold. They came through. They said they were going to do this. They did this, and good for them.
Woo.
Great. More choice is never a bad thing.
Exactly. And I think the number, I don't know how long it carried on for, but the number of people that probably experimented with other systems that because of that, because I know there's a lot of people saying that they're going to try, what was it? The D6 system that suddenly has escaped my brain. Doesn't matter.
Shadowrun?
No, no. They only use like 2 or 3. It's not the bajillion like Shadowrun uses.
Oh, I can't think of what it's called either, but I actually think I know what you're talking about.
Where it's like success, mixed success.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I am sure the number of small creators that saw a boost from that and had good sales last year, that fucking rocks for them.
Yeah, and that's the other place where I didn't go through and really try to find all of the different examples of it because there were too many. Certainly there were a lot of Kickstarters around that time that changed their way. Like they were gonna do a D&D module that was clearly D&D. OGL compatible or whatever, and they decided not to. They skipped using the terms for the classes and stuff. And honestly, like I think I even said at the time, like most people doing D&D stuff, like third party stuff, should do that anyways.
Yeah.
You don't need to call it a paladin to everybody knows it's a paladin, right? Like,
so the thing is like paladin doesn't matter anyway. They don't have the copyright on that like they do with beholder or anything like that because paladin is an English word that has existed longer than they ever have.
Right.
So
right. Exactly. Yeah. So yeah. Anyways, there was a bunch of Kickstarters that changed course. A bunch of books that were currently in works that people were like, all right, screw it. We're gonna change what we're doing.
Yep.
But on the whole, I haven't seen any significant shift. Again, not surprisingly. So
I mean, even if there was a shift in the main player base at that time of year,
there's new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of the movie.
Yeah.
And Baldur's Gate 3.
Which is so I sarcastically have this under the heading of clearly the boycott is in full swing. The D&D movie, well, actually, we'll start with Baldur's Gate 3, which of course is a D&D product. It is, royalties and everything else Hasbro makes money off of this game.
Yep.
So, and best-selling game on Good Old Games and Steam the day it was released, and, it wildly successful. So,
got couple $100 from Chad and I's wallet.
Absolutely,
so,
yeah. And Danielle bought it as well.
Yep.
So, they're not hurting from a D&D perspective. In fact, Hasbro said that I think Magic and Dungeons and Dragons were the two sectors that they said these were growth sectors for 2023. Now, they laid a bunch of people off, but that was not because of the performance of D&D. Mostly that was actually overdue from when they acquired Wizards, because that's something that people didn't really realize when they were talking about it. People made a big deal out of the fact that Hasbro laid a bunch of people off, and it's like, well, it is a big deal, but in reality, this is a company that one large company that just acquired another large company. There's a bunch of people that they probably don't need two of, and they also got rid of some other people. Like I know there were a few like art directors in the D&D and Magic area that, well, at least one, I shouldn't say a few, but like art director type people will say there were a few that got laid off, and they probably weren't explicitly like redundant, but also, if you're firing a bunch of people, there's always somebody that you get rid of for some reason.
Yeah.
So the Hasbro layoffs were mostly a result of them just having people that they didn't need. It wasn't really a growth problem, especially when it comes to D&D, which was again one of their growth areas. However, D&D Beyond.
Yeah.
I was really hoping that I would be able to say like, D&D Beyond subscriptions are X, down, up, whatever. I don't know. Unfortunately, on a normal year, we could probably come up with that data, but Hasbro lumps everything under like Dungeons and Dragons digital content, and that includes both Baldur's Gate 3 and the movie. So it was a big growth year for that segment, but that doesn't normally, if that was a big growth segment, we could probably say like, okay, D&D Beyond went up.
Yeah.
This year, I mean, you can't draw any conclusions.
Yeah,
from that.
And if it's a different subscription when they finally get that tabletop simulator,
right,
then we're never going to really be able to.
We'll never know. Yeah.
No.
But given the success of Baldur's Gate 3, given the relative success of the D&D movie, and given that D&D has not, I certainly have not noticed any significant shift, any lasting shift away from Dungeons and Dragons.
Nope.
I think we can probably assume that D&D Beyond pretty much recovered after the initial wave of cancellations.
The number of people that said that they were getting rid of their subscription, but they were showing the click before.
Yeah.
Like just before the click to finally get rid of it.
Yeah.
But then also all those people that actually did hit the button, how long before they went back to it again?
And where you are, I mean, I almost canceled my D&D Beyond subscription just because I didn't remember that I was still subscribed. I hadn't used it in like a full year. I actually still have it because I decided to keep it anyways. But
same. I didn't get rid of it because for one, I don't know what will happen to all of those other characters. And some of those characters aren't even minor Chads. They're our nephews. So I don't want to lose them.
So I still have it. But there would have been at least some people that were just reminded of the fact that like, oh shit, I'm still paying for that and I don't need to be. I would love to have D&D Beyond numbers, but they don't post. I couldn't find anything that they've said specifically. If it was a substantial beat, I would have expected them to say it. So we can assume that it wasn't a huge success, but I don't think we can assume that it was a failure because there's just no evidence of that. So, but D&D Beyond is sort of the the wild card here. And then the D&D movie is a little bit of a hard one.
Yeah.
I got the numbers for it versus Battleship because they're both action movies based on a game. They're very different movies, very different games. But I mean, the bottom line is the Dungeons and Dragons movie made money. It did pretty well.
Yep.
It had generally favorable reviews. Critics gave it a good score.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 91% and then 7.9 out of 10 for audience rating, maybe 7.1. It was it was a passing grade for sure.
Yeah,
which for a game-based movie is not bad
compared to a lot of them that are out there. Yes.
Yeah, like we've had some hits recently with like the Mario movie and stuff, but those are outliers, not the rules. So so basically the news for D&D this year has been like all positive pretty much.
I had a thought too. I was trying to look it up, but I couldn't find an easy answer. Wasn't there a new set of Forgotten Realms Magic cards that came out this year too?
Yeah, so that
were really cool. And
that was, at least that revenue went under the Magic heading.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
but they were
very
still bought.
popular, especially, so it was very popular, and then the Lord of the Rings was also incredibly popular because of the One Ring. But yeah, I think the Forgotten Realms Magic set was one of the best selling. I mean, I bought a few boxes of it.
Nice. I was tempted to, and no, I don't play, and I don't need to start playing.
In fairness, I bought a bunch of boxes of all kinds of Magic cards in the last while, but yeah, the Forgotten Realms were quite popular. I believe though that was not 2023. I think it came out in 2022.
Okay,
Lord of the Rings was 2023. I'm quite confident, but I think Forgotten Realms was the end, towards the end.
Okay, that was probably why it was in my mind then.
Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure of that. I'm not a huge Magic guy. But I tried
finding an answer, and there's nothing like it's releasing this day that I could find super quickly.
I think, I mean, I could find it pretty quick.
I was going to say, you would know where to go.
Yeah, I know the things. But
I wonder, like the Dicelings, those Transformer dice dragon things that Chad bought.
Dicelings? Oh, I bet they did all right.
Oh yeah, like I went. It
was actually 2021.
Oh shit.
Oh fuck.
Oh god.
Shows how in the loop I am on Magic.
Yeah. I wonder if that would fall under like Hasbro's toys. Or
so my guess would be that it's under Hasbro's toys, but I also suspect that it would have been included in the D&D merchandising.
Yeah.
I didn't go through their earnings with fine-tooth comb because frankly I didn't care that much. When their announcement for earnings says that Dungeons and Dragons was a growth sector,
exactly,
I was like, okay, that's really all I need to know.
Yeah, I'm just pointing out all of those like the little things you would expect it not to do well in these areas as well, but no, it seems everything seems to be alive and well with D&D.
Yeah, D&D is not dead. It's going to be with us for a good while. Maybe
it's a lich.
Yeah, there you go. Very powerful lich.
Yes.
But yeah, we felt like we wanted to do a year check-in on this anyways. We had said right after the episode that we did that we wanted to come back in about a year and check on it. But especially with the absolute fervor from people on social media saying
and the fact that we got a lot of hate from us saying everything will be fine, calm down everyone.
Yeah.
But even if we were wrong, we'd still be here saying, yeah, we were wrong. Holy shit.
Oh fuck, we'd be doing like a 2-hour episode if D&D had actually failed. We'd be dissecting the hell out of it.
I mean, this episode would have happened a lot sooner.
Also, yes, yeah. And there would be 800,000 of them instead of probably we're going to be the only people revisiting this after a year. But yeah, we wanted to check in because honestly, we're also going to be doing a bunch more TTRPG stuff in this year, and you know, if there was a serious shift in the market, that's something we would care about deeply. The truth is, the market looks a hell of a lot like it did last year around this time. So, you know, oh well.
Oh well, OLG.
Yeah, right? So that's the update on D&D. We wanted to poke fun at people, but we also legitimately wanted to check into it and see what happened. And I wanted to follow up on things like the Orc and Kobold Press and everything else. And
No, I'm glad to see, like, the Orc doesn't surprise me at all, but I'm really glad to see that Kobold Press is really following through, and there is some interest with that, and I'm interested to see what they come out with, and reading up on what's different with theirs versus.
To be clear, I have not read through in detail either of those yet. The Orc I skimmed, and honestly it looks a lot like the OLG, but from Paizo. The Project Black Flag I have not looked through yet. I found that it had come out, and that's about where I left it, but I am going to give it a full read because
why not?
This is going to sound super fucking nerdy, but I kind of actually like reading legal documents.
Yeah, that's a whole other level of nerd.
Yeah.
I can't judge, though, because I legitimately enjoy reading knitting and crochet patterns.
Right.
So,
Yeah. We all have our weirdness.
Yes.
So, but I am going to look into it and just take a look and see what it says. Yeah. So that's basically that. And then I figure we'll spend a couple minutes talking about... You've got a new game, and I'm playing a new game.
Also, I should explain why Chad has been very silent. It's because he's not here. He had a tooth pulled on Wednesday after he had broke it a couple weeks ago, and his face is like, it's very swollen right now, and poor guy is kind of miserable at home. So
I can't believe we didn't even mention that.
We just kind of like floated into it. I'm sitting here like, how do I fit this in with him? And this is, I'm sorry, Chad, we didn't say something sooner. I love you.
New year, no Chad.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
We missed Chad. So he's not here, and then we're theoretically going to record something for Wednesday as well, and he won't be here for that either because we're going to do that like right after this, theoretically.
But he'll be back next week.
Next
nice
week he'll
and
be
loud
back
again.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're looking forward to that. But yes, sorry, we totally spaced on, or at least I did. We talked about it earlier before we were on camera. So tell me about this new idle game you're playing.
Yeah, I was just scrolling through looking for new phone games because I didn't have any new ones, and I found one called Tap Wizard 2. It's just an idler.
Okay.
And it's let me just pull it up here. It's by Top Cog, and it's just an idler where you're just you're a wizard going around in a little meadow, and it's just automatic.
A little bit like an idle Vampire Survivors.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is also why I started playing Vampire Survivors again today. So yeah, that is what I've been amusing myself with.
So the game that I've been playing new this week is I want to call it Necesse.
Necesse.
I think that's what it's called. I want to say it's Necense, something like that. Necense. Yep. No, wait, maybe. That's not the game. That's something else.
Is it $11.99?
That sounds right.
Build, quest, and conquer across an infinite procedurally generated world. This looks cute.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a cross between, like it's an automation-y game a little bit. It's kind of like Minecraft meets sort of Stardew Valley-ish, very vaguely, RimWorld-y. It seems to just kind of be like a bunch of different things together, which, in fairness, so far I've been feeling that it doesn't really hit strong in any of those categories.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I felt about Coral Island as
well. But it's cheap. It's $12 Canadian. And it's cute, and I've enjoyed playing a little bit of it. I am starting to lose focus on a little bit because I think it's a jack of all trades. Like I don't think it's a master of any. But it's cool. I mean, I can see myself playing it a bit, and certainly if they allow modding in it.
Yeah.
Which I haven't looked into because it's new. Like it's quite new.
It's early access still.
Yeah, like it's not even out yet. But if it supports modding, I think that's where it could potentially be like just insane.
It has Steam Workshop as one of its tags.
Yeah, so. I'm just not sure how deep that goes.
Yeah.
Like if it allows people to like truly add like RPG elements to it and everything else, I could see as a base game, the potential is almost unlimited for it. But as it stands, and again, early access, it may get way better too. Yep. It's certainly not bad. It's just it's not as good as like RimWorld. But it's cool. Definitely check it out if you're into that sort of stuff, because it is cheap right now. It'll probably go up in price over time. And
well, I mean, it's been out since 2019.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, December 12th, 2019.
Oh shit! I thought it was new.
No.
Well, shows what I fucking know.
It's sold 1 million copies as of December 26th.
Holy shit.
So they're still actively working on it, because they had a update on December 22nd.
Yeah, I feel like maybe there was a new... Oh, the multiplayer trailer. That's why it was back in the news. That's why I found out about it. Okay. It's now multiplayer. Or will be shortly, one of the two.
Oh, so it's semi-new.
Yeah. I was going to say, I like... There were other YouTubers that had made videos about it recently and everything, so I thought it was new, but I guess it's just they're finally getting close to the finish line. I think multiplayer, it could be super fun. And it gives me a little bit of Tibia vibes, just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
So I think I'll really enjoy it, and certainly if the modding is in depth and evolves over time, I think this could be like stupidly good. But yeah, check it out if you're into it. And then the other game quickly that I'm going to check out, and I actually want to see if I can get you and Chad in on too. My buddy John was over, and he says he's been playing Diablo Immortal.
Oh, yeah, I started playing that a little bit back in the day on the phone when it first came out.
Yeah, that's where he's playing it. I never got into it because I assumed it was just like fucking in-app purchase city. And he says it is, but you don't really have to.
Oh. I think it was a lot stronger in that regard when they first came out.
I think it might have been, yeah.
Especially with in-game.
So anyways, I was going to check it out. He may also be lying to me. It's a possibility. So I'm going to check it out, and I thought that might be something the three of us could check out together.
Yeah.
And then I'm also going to give Diablo 4 another shot, because apparently they've made a fair number of quality of life improvements.
Well, they've had to if they ever want their game to have any sort of ongoing success.
Right. So I'm going to give it another try in the next couple weeks and see if it's gotten any better. But with that, I think we'll actually probably wrap it up. Yep. I think we're a little under our sort of 28-minute target, but we're okay with that. Yep. We're trying shorter episodes in the new year, and we're going to see what that does for us or doesn't do. But right after this, we're going to film something else, and hopefully you'll see that on Wednesday.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us again this week. Yeah. We love you. We want you to subscribe and like us, and tell friends to like us and subscribe and love us too, and
make new friends to tell.
Yeah,
that's good for you. It's good for us.
Yeah,
it's wonderful.
Yeah, we'll make friends vicariously through you.
Yes.
Okay.
Transitive friends. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Or on Wednesday.